And now we're talking about helpful tools and valuable insights. And this has just been a section that's kind of come up about being able to use some more of our digital resources and being able to sort out which resources we can trust with all of the stuff that's coming available online. So I'm especially excited to invite our next speaker, Miss Harley Warren, up to the stage. Harley Warren is a Bachelor's of Ag Education graduate from SAU and a resident of Leola, Arkansas. Her family has a moderately sized cow-calf operation, and she is our new forage program technician out of Little Rock. If you see stuff on our Facebook, if you see these wonderful tablecloths and decoration, and if you see somebody who's making us look presentable, that's her. So we're going to turn it over to her and take it away.
So I'm going to talk about the Forage Advisor. It is a website, and a little bit about it was that the University of Arkansas, they did create it, and it's just supposed to help you as a producer or an agent make everything easier. So it's quick, it's reliable. Plug your numbers in, you'll get your results. It's the forageadvisor.uad.edu if you want to search it up. So this is pretty much what the website looks like. And the tools it has, you have your hay quality calculator, your ag lime quality calculator, your drill calibration calculator, pasture rotation, strip grazing, and mob grazing. So the two we're going to talk about a little bit is only the hay quality calculator and the drill calibration calculator. Probably the most reliable on there. I haven't used the other four very much, so I'm not sure about those. So like I said a while ago, it's just to help make your life easier. So the hay quality calculator, it is calculating these forage tests everybody's been talking about. You look at them. I know if I look at a forage test, I have no idea what I'm looking at. So you can plug your numbers in, and this is what you go to. So you plug your numbers in right here. You can do, I know that's hard to see. It has beef cows, stalker heifers, horses, and sheep and goats. And like I said, I know it's hard to see, but you can do 1,000-pound beef cow, and you can look at the dry, gestation, and lactation. So this is a forage test that I got. So this is test 1, test 2, and test 3. And to make our lives easier, I have the numbers. We're going to look at test 3 the most, and the crude protein is 8.4, and the TDN is 56.4. So if you're going to look at ruminants, you need to make sure you use your calculated total digestive nutrients for ruminants, and it says it on your forage test. And then if you want to do horses, you have to be sure to use the horse TDN. And you're looking only at your dry matter bases whenever you do this. So I circled the numbers on each test. And then I plugged them into our calculator. And it's just as simple as test 1, put your numbers in, test 2, put those, and so on. And this is what it's going to look like whenever you do that. As simple as it can be. Green is good, red is bad. So if you have green numbers, everything should be good to go. Your forage test is it's good. You have enough crude protein and TDN for your cattle or horses or goats. Red is not good. That's whenever you need to contact your nutritionist and be like, hey, I don't have enough of this. How can I fix that? What can I supplement? I also have the stalker heifers up here. And like I said, it's for pretty much anything. Your lactation, different pounds of cows. And I didn't do sheep and goat, but you can play around with it if you want to. The next one is your drill calibration. And this is about as simple as it gets. It has detailed instructions on it, and all you need is the width of the drill and the circumference of the wheel of the drill and how far you want to go. So it helps you with your seeding rate. It helps you prevent seed waste. And I'm not good at math, so it helps me. Oh, and those are the instructions on the side. So a few takeaways is the Arkansas Forage Advisor. It just makes it easier. You want to focus on your hay quality and drill calculator for accurate results. That's the biggest deal. Is this is going to help you get the most accurate results. And there's a QR code if you want to scan it. Just takes you to the website. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you for that initial primer, Carly. You know, what's, you know, I kind of wanted to lead with a question on the hay quality calculator. Sometimes on our forage test reports, we get a TDN for ruminants and we have a TDN for horses.
Mm-hmm.
Does the calculator know which TDN to put in, or do I have to make sure I put the right one in?
You have to make sure you put the right one. TDN for cattle and the TDN for horses are completely different. So if you're looking at horses, make sure you use the TDN for horses.
Thank you.
So just out of curiosity, how many of y'all are using the Forage Advisor? Okay. Guys, this is a very helpful tool. This is a very helpful tool so that when we do take those hay samples and we're trying to figure out, hey, is this going to meet my nutritional needs or not? You can pull up this web address, look over in the dry matter column, select which type of livestock you have, look over in the dry matter column for your TDN, your crude protein, and enter it. And it's gonna pull you up. Now, like what you were seeing on the screen, it's just gonna show you, is it meeting requirements or not? But it's a snapshot. It's gonna give you a little bit of advice of where to go. And then, if you're in a situation where it meets requirements, great. But if you're not, that's where, we go to our county agent or go to a nutritionist and help figure out that ballot ration. But this is very helpful. And like she showed today, just a hay quality calculator and then the no-till drill calibration. I help the county agents quite a bit on calculating the no-till drills. And I do it so repeatedly. I've got those steps down. I know what it's going to take. But there's a math formula that you've got to do. You've got to take in the width of the drill and the circumference of the drive wheel, and you're going to collect the seed, and we're going to convert that over to pounds per acre. With this app, I don't have to remember that formula. I don't have to remember, hey, what's that equation? How do I convert from grams over to pounds? This is going to do it for me. That app, we pull the app up and it's going to ask us two questions if you're doing drill calibration. What's the width of the drill and the circumference of the drive wheel? You give it those two pieces of information, it'll spit out an answer. We're going to collect the seed. Then we're going to collect the seed, weigh it up. And if we got 40 grams of seed, you're like, okay, now what? It's 40 grams of seed. Well, with that app, all we got to do is plug that in there, and that's going to convert it over to pounds per acre. So it's a very helpful tool, and so if you guys that don't have this or on your phone, or maybe it's something that you're not using, I would encourage you to go ahead and download this and help us simplify things a little bit.
All right, I'm going to bring this over to Mike. The only other thing that I'm mentioning, because we did get a few questions during Dr. Rivera's presentation, the hay quality calculator doesn't actually care if the feed stuff is hay. So if you are able to pull crude protein and TDN off concentrate feed stuff, like for some goats, you can put those numbers in there and it will tell you the same things. All right, Mike's got a question here.
I would fail if I didn't ask Carly a question. So when I get my hay test back, I have two columns, as received and dry matter. Which one do I plug into the tool?
You're going to use your dry matter basis.
Excellent. Any other questions?
He asked if they're thinking about working on one for the sprayer calibration.
It's stuff. It would work worse by it. He's studying that. He played. Talent. Very team. As a good. Good. So, it's on the movie. I said it's
Yes, we do rent out the no-till drill. So I just wanted to say, like, all right, we have a pre-checkout list. If we put this information on that, help out the people that been.
All right. As part of the pre-checkout, that information will be available. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you so much, Harley. All right. At this point, we're going to pivot over towards trying to sort fact from fiction on social media. And our speaker will be Michelle Buffkin-Horton, Executive Vice President for the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. We really appreciate Michelle coming on here to make this available to us. She oversees statewide policy, membership communications, and event operations to advance Arkansas's beef industry. And she has 2 degrees in ag communications from Auburn and Texas Tech. So thank you for your time today, and looking forward to hearing more.
Thank you. Yeah, don't hold my degrees against me. My husband and I had a very fun weekend last weekend with Arkansas and Auburn playing each other. Excuse me, I have my notes. I've been speaking publicly, professionally for 10 years, 15 years, and I've never used notes, but currently my child is taking all of the brain power that I have, and so I'm learning that it's okay to have some notes written down, some things to remember. So we're going to talk about sorting facts from fiction and social media. Dr. Kubesh did mention I have 2 degrees in agricultural communications, and so I used to, on a daily basis, look at things on social media, manage social media, and try to make decisions of how to post things, when to post, and how to determine if something's real or not. We've all heard the term fake news. We've all heard the term or seen a lot more of AI here recently and had those discussions and conversations. And so we're going to talk through a little bit about how to determine that. I'm going to specify, I'm not going to make you an influencer today. That is not the goal. I'm not going to teach you how to post on social media. Happy to work on that later, but that's not the goal of today. The goal of today is to learn and develop a filter. So the next time you see something, you can say, okay, do I think this is true? Do I think this is not? It's the age-old question, the age-old saying of a lie has a chance to get around the world before the truth can even put its pants on. That stands very true on social media now. So, social media is going to be your opportunity plus your risk. Every day, we see posts about feed additives, about new minerals, about when to feed hay to influence calving, about grazing strategies, market advice, policy things, politic things that are happening within the industry. And we have to determine if we trust that source or not, if we trust that information or not. And so the big thing is social media gives us access to all the ideas. It wants to tell us what to think. That's not the purpose of social media. And so you should be able to determine, hopefully, what to think about these entities. Because a single bad decision on an operation right now can cost a lot of money and can be very detrimental for the prices that we are seeing and hoping to continue to see for a little bit now, but also just from the fact that this is our livelihood. This is what we do. We want to take care of our animals. We want to support them. We want to do everything we can. How are we managing them? And then to take bad advice or to take incorrect advice can be disheartening a lot of times, especially to younger and new producers. So how many of y'all have seen something on social media that have made you stop and think like, hey, that's too good to be true? Like, there's got to be something. Yeah. the answer, if you think it's too good to be true, the answer is probably it is. Like, there's always something underneath it. But a big piece of it is the fact that, just like I said, a lie has a chance to get around the world before the truth can even put its pants on. Social media does not reward accuracy, it rewards attention. Social media does not reward accuracy, it rewards attention. And so what you're able to do, the more likes, comments, shares, engagement that a post gets, the more that post is likely to show up in your social media feed later. That is the way the algorithm works. You'll hear lots of people in marketing complain about the algorithm, but it rewards engagement, it rewards attention. And so pieces for you, repetition. So seeing it multiple times or multiple people sharing it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. It just means multiple people might be mistaken. It could be true, but not always. And so the other piece of it is think about the things that go viral. There's a million different definitions. We're not going to get into what viral really means, but think about the things that go viral. Are they typically the scientific, data-based, not numbers, knowledge behind that, or is it a quick fix? Is it, how many times have y'all seen, hey, like, here's a way to make $500,000 or $50,000, or here's this way to lose weight in 30 seconds. Like, it's all going to be a quick fix. That's what goes viral. Work isn't viral. Actually putting in the effort and looking at it is not the thing that necessarily goes viral for a lot of people. And so you may get lucky, but a lot of times what our extension services posts, or what a scientist posts, or what somebody that's actually done some research and taken some time on their operation or thought about it and said, hey, I'm going to test out a couple of different things, posts about, those aren't going to be your viral posts. It's going to be, hey, I did this one thing and actually all of our animals calved during the daytime and it was great. Perfect. That's a very small sample size. Like, how many cows do you have? Like, all of this information that matters on the scientific side matters there as well. And so, yep. All right, so how do you tell if something's real, if something's fake? We're not going to get into AI, although it does exist. Not everything you read on the internet is true, says Abe Lincoln. Like, that's one of my favorite things to see is, like, a quote from Abe Lincoln that's like, not everything on the internet is true. You're like, yes, thank you. For the younger kids in the room, he was alive before the internet existed. And so definitely not available there. And so what you're looking at, the things you need to ask yourself when you're looking at these social media posts, especially if it's going to affect your operation, affect your pastures, affect your herd, affect your organization, what you're looking at, these three things is: one, who said it? Is it coming from a reputable group? Is it coming from extension? Is it coming from a university? Is it coming from a producer that you know in your area that usually, like, uses their brain most of the time? Like, is it coming from someone that you trust and somebody that you would be willing to invest money or be willing to spend money on? And so thinking about that side of it, or is it just someone with a smartphone and an opinion? There's a lot of people these days that have a lot of opinions and love to put them out there on their smartphone, hoping that it'll go viral, hoping that they'll get some money from TikTok, or they'll get some money from whatever. Perfectly fine. They're not the ones necessarily making a living raising cattle. They're not necessarily the ones that are trying to pay the bills with cattle. And so asking yourself, who is posting it? And then, what's their motive? This is my husband's biggest one, because he hates it. He tells me every time, he's like, well, they're just trying to sell you something. They might be. That is true. I work for a membership organization. I will always be trying to sell a membership. That is part of my job. And that's okay, as long as you know that is the purpose. That's always going to be a part of it, is like, hi, this is always going to be an underlying thing. If you're talking to an equipment dealer, their goal, yes, at the end of the day, probably going to be to sell you some equipment. But through that, they will also build relationships. It's very different in a building a relationship conversation than it is in a, I'm just going to real quick try to sell you this and never talk to you again. That's not a true salesperson. That is not a true person trying to build a relationship. And so keep in mind their motive behind their post. The other piece is going to be, where's the data? I'm a data nerd. I have 2 degrees in ag communications, so I'm not necessarily good at math, but I did actually fall in love with data in grad school. And so for me, it's always, okay, well, that sounds nice. Can you back it up? Is it just you, Davey, that's done this one time? Or do you have some examples of some other people around you that have tried this and it's worked out for them? And so looking at that data, and it doesn't have to be Dr. Kubesh's fancy actual university data. It really can be, okay, I put these heifers in this one pasture. We did this. I put these other heifers in this other pasture. We fed this. You can collect data on your own operation. You don't have to be an extension professional. You don't have to be a scientist to be able to get some of that. And so it doesn't have to be necessarily hard-hitting data. It could be forage tests, like Harley just talked about. It could be all of these other pieces, but having some kind of scientific backing behind it, instead of just saying, hey, I put this fertilizer on here and it made my grass grow. Okay, can I see some data there? And then looking at it, does it align with science? Does it match your experience? Is it the exact opposite of everything you think you've heard or everything you've heard from other people? You can have something that's like, oh, okay, that was nice. That was very unexpected. That happens all the time. I've done that with marketing quite a bit. I was like, this is going to be the outcome. And it wasn't the outcome. And so that was not necessarily matching with my experience, but the science was behind it. And so looking at that, keeping that in mind. The biggest piece that we forget is that social media goes nationwide, internationally. So does it fit your environment? What works in South Dakota may not work in Arkansas. What works in Minnesota may not work in Arkansas. So keeping in mind where these posts that you're seeing, where they are coming from. Is it coming from, even in Arkansas, something that works in Randolph County may not work in Deshay County. And so keeping in mind where the post is coming from and if it fits your environment. And then the other piece is, do trusted experts agree? This can be the hard one. This can be the hard part where it's like, okay, I don't want to sit here and find and search and see if a scientist, if an extension partner, if somebody agrees with this. How can we find that easily? That's the hard part. It's not necessarily easy. There's not a just do it button here. It's not Staples button for you to press and get it fixed. But you can look and see, okay, is this going against your experience? This is going against every single thing you've thought, you've heard throughout your entire life. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it means that maybe the results were skewed in their favor a little bit. Maybe they wanted it to turn out the way it did. And so they were able to work with and manipulate some of those. So those are your questions to ask. Who said it? What's their motive? Where's the data? Does it match? And then does it fit your environment? And do experts agree? So the biggest issue with social media is that people don't understand the difference between a fact and an opinion. People will share something and tell you this is a fact. This is 100% proven. No, honey, that's your opinion. And so weighing it and looking at it and thinking through what is fact or fiction, what is fact or opinion. Obviously, it's very simple. It goes back down to the data. It goes back to the science. The biggest thing that I always hear is, well, it worked for me. Great. So glad that worked for you. What works for you does not necessarily mean it's going to work for me. Does that mean you don't need to do it? No. If it doesn't cost you a lot of money, if there's not a lot of risk in it, and you want to try a new technique, a new tactic, okay, great. But know for a fact that just because it worked for them does not mean it is going to work for you. The other piece of it, with the cattlemen who do a lot of work on the political front, and so you'll see a lot of political posts go this way of this is fact versus opinion. And so the big piece of it is emotional or dramatic tone. If you want to see emotions, just talk about politics. It comes up very quickly. And so keeping in mind that a lot of times that opinion is going to go towards that emotional route. And so, it worked for me is not proof. It's an anecdote. It's a story. That's great. It's not necessarily going to help you on your operation. The biggest thing is if you can't trace the source, the numbers back to a credible source, back to somebody that is trusted within your community, within the industry, then it's probably not scientifically proven. So, how do you build reliable information routines? And so, you want to follow credible sources. There's lots of them out there. You can find them. But I will tell you, if a Facebook group that you're in is all ran by people providing your own information, while that can be valuable, if it is producer driven, that can be very valuable because you can hear from your peers, but take what's in there with a grain of salt. Because, again, it's going to be, well, this worked for me. And that's great. But if they can't replicate it on their neighbor's place, or they can't replicate it 4 places down, it's not helpful for you because you don't know that it's going to work for you. And so you can subscribe to newsletters. On the purchasing front, you can verify before you buy. You can try before you buy. You can do all of these things. There are a lot of things on TikTok, on Facebook, on social media that people want to sell you, and then you'll never hear from them again. They just want to get the sale, they want to get the money, and they want to move on. And so building relationships with the people you're going to purchase from is very important. The other piece of it is test new ideas, small scale first. If you can start small, if you can say, hey, I'm just going to spend a little bit of money. I'm just going to risk this small piece. Okay, perfect, great. Let's start there. Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to revamp our entire operation at one time. And so if you're like, hey, I think this is true. I think this is verified. Like, I think this is a real source, but I'm still a little nervous about it. Start small. Grow from there once it's proven. All right. So before you act on anything you see online, again, here's some more questions to ask. Can you confirm the source? Can you find the real data? Do they have a link to a study? That's my favorite piece. Can you read the study? You don't have to read the study. If you want to, perfect, great. But do they at least link to a study? Does the data match the study there? And then finally, and the biggest one, would I bet money or cattle on it? Is this something that you would feel comfortable betting your herd on? Right now, that's quite a lot of money. So keep that in mind before you act when you read things online. A lot of people say I am skeptical. I am questioning things all of the time. I say that being skeptical is not being rude, it's being smart. I want to make sure that the decisions we're making are going to be beneficial for us. And so this is the importance of why you should read through and look through and question the things you see online, because it's going to pay off in the end. When you take a few extra minutes to verify your sources, your information, you're protecting your herd, your operation, and your finances, because there are a lot of people on social media that think they know what they're doing, and it's not even that they necessarily want to harm you. They just think, hey, this is what worked for me, great, perfect, wonderful. You have a very different herd than I do. We may not be able to compete on that front. Smart decisions come from good data, not from viral posts. Not that good information can't go viral, it can. But if something has gone viral and it's a quick fix, keep it in mind of that's probably not going to be a long-term solution for your operation. Thinking critically keeps you protected, and those are the producers that are staying ahead. Those producers that are willing to ask the questions like, okay, I really like what Stan was doing. Stan, can you tell me more about it? Perfect, great. Ask questions. It doesn't just have to be on social media. Ask questions and say, okay, perfect, that sounds wonderful. Like, how did you deal with this? How did you deal with that? That is helpful. That is ways you can better your operation through each other, as opposed to a random person on Facebook that knows nothing about your operation. And so if you're able to actually have a conversation and say, this is what we're struggling with, and somebody else can tell you, well, this is how we fixed it. This is what we addressed. These are some of the things we worked into or ran into. That's helpful. Whereas on social media, I feel like you lose a lot of that. And I'm a person that does a lot of business on social media. You lose a lot of that real person connection, a lot of that conversation of that back and forth of like, oh, okay, well, you also had this problem. And so they're just trying to solve for a problem that may not even exist a lot of times on social media. And so, okay, perfect. So the biggest thing is going to be question everything, especially if it sounds great. Question everything. Read it. See where it came from. If it came from a company or came from an organization, click on their Facebook page and you can see when that Facebook page was created. If it was just created yesterday, maybe we rethink it. Maybe we reconsider trusting them. If you can click on their website from their Facebook page and link and see what is on their website, or see if they even have a website. A lot of times if you don't have a website, but you have a social media, something's happening there. Keep that in mind. Separate science from sales pitches. Again, if you're going to buy something, build a relationship with those people. Much more beneficial than trusting every single thing you see on social media. And then make data-driven decisions for your operation. Social media is not going away. It's not the devil, like my dad used to say. He refused to have Facebook, absolutely hated it. And here I am every day making my living through Facebook. And so it's a great tool if we use it wisely, if we use it critically, if we use it to think and ask questions and build relationships. In a world full of noise, being skeptical isn't negative, it's good management. And so that's the key takeaway here is this something I would bet my herd on? Is this something I would bet money on? Keep those two things in mind as you see some of those viral, exciting, solution-based posts. So, with that, any questions?
You get to hold on to that, Mike. But thanks so much, Michelle. We really appreciate you getting to talk.
Of course.
All right, questions, folks. Questions.
I think I can.
Don't be shy now.
This is such.
Social media is every rancher's favorite topic, I feel like.
You know, I guess the one that comes up for me a lot, because we do a lot of cross-promotion on something Facebook called Regenerative Grazing Group. So, you know, you have extension professionals, producers, sales pitch. For some reason, grazing gurus, whatever the heck those are. And I guess sometimes you do get some of the extension professionals to have differences of opinion. How do you sort out those, I guess, expert opinions when they kind of clash?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I don't know why I put this mic back. I hate speaking from a podium mic. So how do you sort through the difference of opinions when you have professional opinions? Thing is, we're human. That's going to happen. We're all going to have different opinions. You put 100 different cattlemen in a room and ask them the same questions, you're going to get 102 different answers. And so that happens within our industry. It happens within all some facets of the industry. And so I think the biggest piece is, one, for y'all as extension professionals, is keeping in mind the way the arguments are made. And so I tend to shy away from people that make a little bit more of an emotional argument, or get a little bit more defensive or push back a little bit more, as opposed to sticking with the science. And so that's one of the ways that I'm like, okay, like if you're gonna fight on social media, I'm gonna judge you a little bit and maybe not take your opinion quite as seriously. And so the other piece of it is keeping in mind that, okay, you may have a difference of opinion here in Arkansas, but maybe that carries a little bit more weight with somebody here in Arkansas than versus an extension professional that has experience in South Dakota or wherever it may be, because you're going to have different experiences. That's okay. Agriculture is different. It's going to happen. So a lot of times you just kind of have to read and weigh the consequences or weigh the costs there of what's the risk of going one way or the other, taking into account their experience and their background.
So much. Next question.
Mr. Larry.
Oh, yeah.
This may not be something for you, but maybe do you think we have an excellent opportunity here for something that's very beneficial to everybody? is there ever going to be a way that it can be monitored to filter out all the stuff that's just thrown in to interrupt?
On social media in general? Oh no, there's money to be made.
Instead of comments that are thrown in just to deliberately use it, and is there no way that can be monitored?
Unfortunately, I wish I could. That'd be great. It'd make my job a lot easier if we could monitor social media. You can, obviously, on your own page, you can monitor what's there and filter through what's there and hide comments. But in general, on social media, no, because again, the algorithm rewards engagement, not accuracy. And when people start social media fights, people run to the comments. It's like a car wreck. You just have to look and watch. You have to scroll and read all of these comments. And so it drives up engagement, drives up the time on the app, which then drives more sponsorships and all of these things. So it's a money cycle at this point. And so unfortunately, I don't see Facebook doing away, or social media in any way doing away with the Facebook fighting. It's entertaining and it pays. Any other questions?
Well, we really do appreciate your time, Michelle. Thank you for helping us sort through things.